So which music marketing methods have stood the test of time? Hi, I'm Daxton Page, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the 7 tried and true, time-tested music marketing strategies that are going to help grow your fan base and maybe even create some super fans and some sales along the way. So there's tons of different marketing strategies out there, guys. People use the term marketing as an umbrella term, but there's many different types of marketing. Right? Like saying, what are you doing to market your business? Like, I'm just marketing. I'm like, so what are you having for tonight? I'm having chicken for dinner. Okay, are you having baked chicken? Are you having frozen chicken out of the freezer? Are you having a chicken sandwich? Are you having a chicken salad? Are you having flavored versus seasoned? What are we doing here? So this is what we want to dive into. I want to dive into all the different ways of marketing that exist out there, and some of y'all may be drastically underdeveloped in some of these marketing areas. I remember when I was starting out in the music business and I learned about these, I was like, oh, you can do that? Well, heck yeah, dude. So the first type of first type of strategy that I want to talk about is content marketing. I kind of gave it away there, right? So content marketing, this is the obvious one. That's why I wanted to start with this one. Everyone's posting on social media. In fact, I did a post a few days ago, a whole video talking about how to actually avoid making the biggest mistakes on the social media. So go check that out if you want to. But social media is obviously where we want to focus a lot of our energy. We want to create content that attracts our ideal fan. That's the point, right? But how are we going to do this? So let's look at it from the actual components. What do you have to work with? Okay, so the first thing you have to work with is Reels, okay? And just to kind of reiterate one of the things that was in that video that I was mentioning, in Reels, we have a few different strategies. There's many different strategies. These are just a few. You could do a performance-based piece of video content. These are really great. Performing in front of a cool background or scenery that you may have. Maybe it's actually a live performance of you at a coffee shop or on stage at a gig. Any kind of performance that you can imagine, right? That's the type of piece of content that you can make on a reel. You could also do meme content on a reel. You could do casual content, you driving, you just kind of in the park with the cool scenery and your music is the soundtrack to your life type thing. That's what I mean by casual. So you can use all these strategies inside of the reel format. Now, what about these other type of strategies? Well, one of the most common ones that's actually doing really well is in your feed, so your general posts. I'm going to separate this from Reels. Reels are the short form, infinite scroll videos. Feed is the stuff that you're just kind of casually scrolling through. Like you can think of that as like traditional Instagram, right? Carousels are very effective where, let's say you have a show, don't post the flyer. No. We don't post the flyer. What we do is we post a really great, cool image of us performing or of our music or of our album cover or something really cool. Something really cool about the show or about you specifically. And then the next image in the carousel is the flyer, right? So maybe there's like really cool bands that are going to be on this show. So you can have the first carousel image be one band, the next carousel image be the other band, and the third carousel image can be the flyer, right? So you don't post the flyer by itself, you always post it in this carousel type fashion. Now, this works in other ways too. Carousel posts get people to not scroll up and down, but they get them to scroll left and right. So either way, you're keeping people on the platform, and Instagram will reward you for keeping people on the platform. Instead of, going this way, they're just going this way. Either way, they're staying on the app, right? So carousels are a great way to get that sort of horizontal movement going inside of your content. Then there's stories. Yeah, sharing the feeds and the reels to the stories can be something to do, but I think putting polls is a better way to do it. Instagram is one of the few platforms that doesn't punish you for throwing links in your stories. Utilize that because you can create highlights. Think about what an advantage this is. You can create a story, a set of stories for a day, make highlights that you need to make for your profile. The next day, the stories are gone, but the highlights remain with the links inside of them. So think about this for a second. Let's say you have a gig coming up. You put the flyer in the story post with the ticket link button in there. You make that a highlight, or you add it to a highlight that exists for your show flyers. And now what happens is when the day is gone and that story post is gone, it's still on your highlight with a clickable button that takes people to a ticket link. This can work for your song links too. You can create a highlight of links to your song. So let's say you're trying to drive people to Spotify. You can create a bunch of stories, maybe not all at once. Maybe you can spread it out over a few days or a week. Every day you're posting a link to a song, and then you just throw that in the music highlight, so that over time this highlight on your profile is full of music that people can click on, and it takes them to the social media platforms, or it takes them to a landing page like Hype Edit, so that they can click the social media platform, or not social media, the streaming platform that they'd like to listen on. That type of thing, okay? So stories can be valuable for this type of strategy, right? Don't just share the stuff from your feed and from the reels. That's a basic thing that can kind of work, but this other stuff is better. Also, view your stories kind of like reality TV. View it like the behind the scenes stuff that's real intimate, Don't post your pictures of the food you're eating on your feed. That's for your story. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's go to the second type of marketing, which is one that a lot of people, they're going to shudder when I talk about this, but it's actually one of the most effective ones. But I'm going to tell you about it. And so I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Outbound marketing. What? I know this is a business term, so for anybody that doesn't know what that means, I'm going to tell you right now. Outbound marketing is a fancy business term to describe your reaching out to people. That's why it's called outbound. There's also something called inbound marketing. That's where you're a business and people are calling you. That's inbound. Outbound is when we're reaching out to them. Am I going to have to reach out to people? Yes. Oh, you're going to have to reach out to people. But it's such a great thing. Once you start breaking through this barrier of reaching out to strangers over the internet, it's so freeing. I'm telling you guys. A lot of y'all are stuck up on this whole deal of I'm going to seem needy, I'm going to seem pushy, I'm going to seem this, X, Y, and Z. Once you get over that and you start posting, you actually start to realize how freeing it is to go talk to strangers about what it is you've got going on, because you understand that what you have is valuable. And there's no weird barrier anymore of I'm reaching out to a stranger, because you understand how to do it. So let's talk about that a little bit. Outbound marketing. What does that look like? Well, in the modern age, that looks like DMs. For us artists, that's the main thing. I don't think we should be calling our fans' cell phones. Hey, what's going on? Have you picked up my merch bundle? That might be a little bit strange for a music fan. However, reaching out in the DMs is probably a very common occurrence. So there's a couple ways that we can do this. One, please, 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 don't let automation spoil you. Automation can be a great thing, y'all. But a lot of people, I've had clients that have these giant many chat workflows that are just as big as the sun, and I'm like, dude, you're trying to delegate the work all to the AI when you could have just dedicated some work to reaching out and talking to these people. You'd have done the same amount of work and you'd have got way more results, but now you've spent more money, wasted a whole bunch of time, and you're nowhere further to making your music career happen. So don't do that. And when it comes to outbound marketing, sure, there's parts of the process and parts of different things that you can automate. But as far as reaching out to them and nurturing that relationship, do that. Do that personally, okay? I like to have a spreadsheet so I can actually follow up with people. Hey, I talked to you a while ago. I sent you this thing. How's it going? Have things been better since the last time I talked to you? Now, that's for my own personal business. As an artist, you may say something like, hey, I got this free lead magnet for you. Okay, don't call it a lead magnet. That is basically something that you give away for free to get them to join your email list. But you can say, hey, I gave you this free, cool offer. I noticed you didn't join the email list. How have things been going? Have you just been busy? You can follow up with people, and some people are like, is that pushy? It's like, no, you're actually people will be like, wow, they actually were thinking of me. This artist took time out of their day to actually reach out to me. It's really crazy, especially if you have a voice message. Oh my gosh, that's like magic. If someone doesn't respond to you for a long time and you just send a voice message, hey, what's going on, Carol? It's Dax from Kira. If you haven't, I wanted you to make sure that you get access to this because we got some really cool stuff and I think you're really going to love it. So yeah, let me know and I can send the email to you immediately, blah, 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 and then end the voice message. That's just a rough template, right? But doing that kind of stuff adds such a personal touch and it takes like 15 seconds, as you just saw. It's so low effort for such a high output. Come on, why wouldn't we do that? Low input, high output? sign me up, right? However, outbound marketing is an output game, so you have to message people. So how do we integrate that into our strategy? The content that you post, the people that engage with those posts, that's who we reach out to. We reach out to the people who have shown interest in us. We don't just go cold DMing people. Now, you could do that. If you're trying to build like a local following, you could just go to the location, explore on Instagram, find some profiles and be like, hey, I see you're from Oklahoma. We have a show coming up this Saturday, blah, 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 blah. Even if you can't attend, could you just share the show word of mouth? It would be really great. You know, you could do that kind of stuff if you're feeling a little bit more, confident. I'm not saying don't do it. I think that could be great if you're actually tactile about it and you're consistent with it. I think that can actually be a really, really great strategy. So outbound marketing is one of the most untapped things that the artists who are really doing well have figured out, that a lot of the small independent artists haven't figured out. I'm not saying, by the way, like Drake is messaging his fans. I'm saying the independent artists who are blowing up have a relationship with their fans. How do they have a relationship with their fans, Dax? Because they've messaged a lot of them. They've built rapport with them by actually showing value or giving value and caring. Like, for instance, if I go to one of my fans' profiles and I see they have a dog, I'm a dog person, so I can respond with, hey, Michael, hey, nice pit bull. I love dogs, Genuinely provide value and like, oh, hey, you have this thing I think is cool. They're going to be like, that's so cool. So outbound marketing can be absolutely amazing. Let's jump to number 3, email marketing. Y'all know me. I've posted videos in the past couple months talking about my evergreen fan generator method. That's the EFG method that we use for emails. You may be thinking, Dax, what the heck is the EFG method? Well, I'm not going to be able to go through the whole thing because that deserves its own video. It's got its own video. But I'll give you sort of a 10,000 foot overview of the evergreen fan generator. It's an email marketing strategy basically designed to take your fans through a series of email sequences that do multiple things. Some of those emails nurture, some of those emails sell, some of those are just promotional. Go stream my song, it's because I just released it, here's the link, click it now. This type of stuff, right? Email marketing can serve many different things. But I love the evergreen fan generator method that we've proprietized, because what you're doing is creating trust in a particular order. So I'm going to give you part of some of the magic sauce here in this video. That's why I love YouTube, is I can give away content for free that a lot of people, I've literally had people pay me like $1,500 to teach this to them and implement it into their business. So I'm telling you guys this from firsthand experience here. So the EFG method is fundamentally people join with a welcome sequence. The welcome sequence is supposed to give them something of value for free for joining the email list, whether they asked for it or not. So sometimes you have a cool offer, a lead magnet that you're giving away for free to get them into the email list. The welcome sequence will give them that thing. Sometimes they just sign up on the website and you just give them value anyway. Then from the welcome sequence, from there you maybe promote your socials and get some of those following, those numbers up if you can. Those are vanity metrics, but it's cool to include sometimes. Then from there you go into an origin sequence where you tell a story about yourself. You tell your journey from the beginning to the end. When I say the beginning to the end, the beginning to today. And from that point, you can kind of create this cliffhanger cool thing between like 3 or 4 emails telling your story about the highs and the lows of your music career. And then that builds this affinity where your audience is like, wow, you've been through a lot. I'm on your side to help make your dream happen. Whereas if you don't explore and expose that side of yourself that's been through things, that vulnerable side, the audience doesn't think that you've ever been through anything and will therefore assume that you haven't. For instance, if you're someone who's like really into enlightenment, when you're talking about universal consciousness and things like that, if you don't explore the hardships that you went through to come to those perspectives, people will just think you're talking down to them, as opposed to thinking that like you're coming from a place of understanding of like, I was where you were and I've overcame things. That's a better perspective. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with the origin sequence, is to show the dragons that we've slayed, show the things that we've overcome. And from that perspective, they're like, yeah, dude, I'm rooting for you as an underdog. And when you're like, yeah, my music, I'm trying to get my music around the world. I have this mission to share this and this and this. For different artists, that's different things, what their mission is. And then from there, you can go into a sales sequence where it's like, what's the best way to support me on this mission? Well, I'll tell you. Best way to support me on this mission is this special offer that I've created, because it helps fund my next record, because it helps fund my next tour, because it helps me fund things that I can now give back to you guys. That positioning is so much better than someone joins an email list and the next day you're like, buy my shirt. You haven't given any value, you haven't built any trust, any relationship, nothing. You've just, hey, thanks for the email, give, take. Don't do that. Don't give, take. Give, take. That's the way you want to look at it in your email marketing. And if you string enough of these sequences together where you're combining stories that are giving value with offers, you find this nice medium where you can actually generate revenue. And then you take all those sequences, once you've tested them and you've refined them, and you put them into a super funnel that's automated, where every time someone joins your email list, they go through all these automated sequences that you've tested and refined. That is the EFG method, and that's how you freaking dominate your email marketing. If you want some help actually implementing that, like I said, I do have people that pay me to actually work one-on-one, $1,500 to do that. So if that's something you're interested in, you can reach out to me. There's probably going to be a link in the description. But I've got a lot of clients, so that's okay if you don't want to. I understand things are very busy over here. So next one, number 4, SMS marketing. SMS marketing. Okay, so this is like email. It is and isn't it, and it isn't. So to me, I like to think about your SMS marketing, your text marketing, as imagine you're the president and you have the fire call. Do you remember the fire calls back in the day? I think that's what they were called, where I think it was FDR would hop on the phone as the president and be like, this is the president speaking, and it would go through the radio all across the country, and he would just sit there and hey, here's how it's going right now. I'm the president, and I'm telling you it's going like this, and it's going like this. That's kind of, to me, how I like to view the text SMS marketing line is, hey, I'm going to hit you up with when I've got a new release out, when I've got a show in your area, I'm dropping a fan club for the first time. But outside of that, I don't like to message people that often on text SMS. Because think about it, email, people give their email out all the time at retail stores. That's just a fact. They give them out like candy. So there's not as much value in someone's email as there is in their phone number. They're not giving their phone number out. Think of ladies. Ladies are giving away their email addresses to Ulta and all these different kinds of places every single day. But are they giving out their phone number every single day? Most likely not. That's a reserved, intimate piece of information. So when you've got your fan's phone number, don't be the person that's always nagging and messaging. They're going to unsubscribe very quickly. Now, email, that's different. You can message people daily on email and they will stay subscribed for years. But text MS is not the same way. So view it more like that. You got a gig in their area, you got a new release out, a fan club offer. I hesitate to say we got a cool exclusive special offer. Maybe if sales are low and you're trying to create some peak in sales towards the end of an offer cycle, a product launch cycle, then yeah, maybe you can do that, but do it wisely. It's an intimate piece of contact information. Value it as such. Okay, number 5, only got a few more left here. Number 5, paid marketing. Now let me get something real clear with paid marketing. I am not talking about TV. I am not talking about radio. Okay, I'm not talking about newspapers. I am talking about Facebook, or Meta as it's called now. I'm talking about Google. I'm talking about TikTok. I'm talking about Spotify. I'm talking about paying for ads that are on these platforms. So for instance, Meta ads. That's how you're going to access paid advertising for Instagram and Facebook, okay? I mentioned this in my last post, do not do the boost post function. You don't get nearly as much detailed targeting. It's just, to me, it's an overall waste of money unless you really, really know what you're doing. Most artists don't, so don't assume that you do. Assume that you don't, because unless you're converting all that money that you're spending on ads into streams and money, you don't know what you're doing, okay? So paid advertising, Meta. Go to Meta Ads Manager, and from there you can start to create advertisements. Now this can be very tricky. Some people are like, Dax, I've seen those ad managers. I don't know I don't even know, man. Those things are complicated. Here's what you need to know to help navigate this, hopefully very quickly. 2 things, 3 things maybe, that I can tell you really quickly. 1, here's the hierarchy. There's campaigns. Within those campaigns, you have different ad sets, which you can just say are different audiences or different placements, whether that's, feed, story, explore, that type of thing. Those would be your ad sets, and then you have your ads. Those are the actual creatives, the ads, what you think of when you think of an ad. That's the creative. So when you look at any ad platform, it's going to be campaign, ad set, ad. That is the hierarchy, okay? Hey, I have a campaign for my new song that's a campaign designed specifically to get people to click on Spotify. Here I have all the different audiences that I can test in my ad set, and then I have all the different creatives that I've tested. Now here's 2 things that you need to understand. It's a lot of this, so that's an organizational piece of information. The next thing is implementational. Your audiences need to be really good. So what I like to do is figure out exactly what you're going to test. For example, if I want to figure out what ad is the most attractive, compelling ad I can, if I'm going to do that, what do I need to know? Right? Like, what if I'm going to make this the most compelling thing? What do I need to know? I need to know which of these is going to perform the best. You look at the different numbers and you say the click-through ratio is good here. Oh, it's not good here. The cost per result is, it's okay here, but it's really good here. You start looking at different metrics and you can determine, okay, this creative is performing the best. Now, how do you test that? Well, you take all the different audiences that you're about to test and you throw them into one big giant audience, called that the all audience, right? That's your all audience. So you throw the all audience for the ad set, and then you test the creatives. Then you can go to a different part of that where you figured out what creative works. Now you can keep the creative the same, but test the different audiences. Figure out which audience is the most responsive to your music. And then if you want to, you can go into deeper, like I'm going to test whether it works better on the Instagram feeds or Facebook feeds or Instagram Reels. You can go down the placement rabbit hole if you want to. That's something that you could do, but you're optimizing your ads. But that's paid marketing, okay? Going to Google, going to Facebook, and doing these different strategies can be very effective. There's even this cool little YouTube ad retargeting strategy where you do a post on Instagram that has a keyword. And when they say the keyword, you message them, hey, here's this video on YouTube, go check it out. And then when they click that link and go watch the video, you can give them specific advertisements before they click on the video you just gave them, right? So you can get real ninja with this kind of stuff. So that's paid marketing. I think a lot of you guys understand paid marketing. You can do Spotify's marquee ads. You can do TikTok ads, Meta Ads Manager, Google AdWords. These are all very, very effective ways to do it. Now, the next one, event marketing. Okay, event marketing. What is that? Well, that's when you actually put on a gig. That's when you put on a show, a showcase. So that could be something that's put on at a coffee shop. That could be something that's put on at a bar and restaurant and grill. That could be something that's put on in a park. That could be something that's put on in a venue, like a theater or a ballroom or a dive bar, God forbid, In the rock and metal sphere, we're all used to dive bars because that's like 90% of our venue choices. You have all these different ways that you can actually market your music. Now, there's positive sides and there's upsides and downsides to event marketing. The upsides is the connection that you can create is so insanely powerful in event marketing. If I was to put on a seminar teaching artists about music education, that impact that I can create with them is much greater than if I was to do something like a free training online, right? So when you're in an event, you're right up in front of the artist. This is the person who I've seen on on my social media and stuff. They're right in front of me in the flesh. And if you can give them a compelling performance that actually makes them go, this is amazing. You can give them that. You will create a bond with your brand and your group, your band, your project forever. Because those are the most powerful memories of the ones I was in person and I saw them and I touched Michael Jackson's white glove and I went, and that type of stuff. So event marketing can be very powerful in that sense because you can create these, also you can make a lot of money. To me, if I want to make a lot of money in a short period of time, I go 2 places. I either go to the gig or I go to the email. Those are the two places if I want like a lot of funding and a lot of revenue for my music business quickly. Now the gigs probably take a month or more to book, so that's the least quick of the two, email versus that. But you can look at like the time worked for a venue, or excuse me, the time of work that you put in for a gig and the return that you can get versus the time that you put in versus an email campaign, depending on it depends on the size of your email list. If you have a relatively small email list, the gig is obviously going to return higher in a shorter period of time. But if you have a giant email list of 100,000 people or more, then that's obviously going to return a greater amount of people in a smaller period of time. But hopefully you guys understand event marketing has its upsides and downsides. The downside is really you can only convert the people that are there. You may have the greatest performance in the world, but if there's only 15 people there, your potential new fan base growth is 15. Now, maybe they film it and they put it on Facebook and you get some additional fans that way, so increase it by 15%. Still less than 30 people. So, what's worth the investment of time? Putting in a lot of content to hopefully get a lot of people attracted to your fan base, or putting in the work to do a gig where you can get really great connections, but in the same breath, if you don't bring a lot of people to the show, or not a lot of people are there while you perform, there could have been a lot of people at the gig, but if they're not there while you're performing, well, that's a different story. So yeah, event marketing is a great way to make a lot of money in a quick period of time because of merchandise, ticket sales, all that kind of good stuff. But it's also got its downsides where if you don't bring a lot of people, then you don't get those same benefits. So just be very careful and make sure you pick your gigs wisely and make sure that they're focused on the brand that you're trying to create, and they also have income opportunities for you. So that if that means you headlining makes you less money, don't headline. Be direct support for someone who can make us money if they headline. So yeah, don't be greedy. You don't have to be the headliner if you're not a headliner. You know what I'm saying? I know far too many bands that are headlining when they ain't a headliner. And those shows don't end up very well. I've been that band. Back in the day when I very first started, I was like, yeah, if we headline, then that means we're the big dog and ego. And then we headline some gigs and we're like, oh, you're not a headliner. You should probably be direct support or opener for a while. And then we do that for enough times. And I know certain markets where we could be headliners, but I also know which markets that we couldn't be headliners. And we would have to like defer to the locals or the people that are coming through. So event marketing, last one, influencer marketing. What does that mean, Dax? Does that mean I'm going to be hawking Amazon products or being an MLM? No, that's not what this means. Influencer marketing is where you leverage the audience of others, okay? Podcasters, do collaborations with other artists and try to get their fan base and your fan base to sort of merge. Review channels, people that can review your music. People discover new music a lot of times using that exact strategy. So influencer marketing. I'm going to give you a strategy here to close out this video that's going to absolutely break your mind, hopefully. Because to me, when I discovered this strategy, I'm like, dude, I'm building this tomorrow. And it took me a while. I built it. It was a lot of work. But now I've got anyway, I got to tell you what it is. So I'm getting all excited. I haven't even told you what it is yet. So the main thing is a strategy developed by a business salesperson called Chet Holmes. Chet Holmes was a fantastic salesperson. He's taught he taught salespeople, he taught sales trainers. He turned around Charlie Munger's magazine company, went from the worst performing magazine newsletter in his industry to the top one in just 6 to 8 months. And Charlie in his voice was like, Chet, I've never seen anybody do something like this unless they're doing something nefarious. Are we breaking the rules here? What are we doing? And Chet's like, nope, just implementing this strategy. And this is the strategy that he implemented. It's called the Dream 100. What is that? The Dream 100 is a marketing strategy that utilizes influencer marketing. So what is it? Well, there's two veins of looking at the Dream 100. I'm only going to look at one of them for the sake of time. The first vein of that is who are my Dream 100 customers? Who are the best people that are if you bought my stuff, you would be my dream customer? The other side that I'm going to focus on is who are the best, my dream business partnership and relationships. So you look at this from this perspective. Let's say you are a red dirt country guitarist / singer. What you're going to want to do is identify who are the top people in my genre, who are the top people in my niche of my genre. So not only who are the biggest country acts right now, who are the biggest red dirt country acts? Now, who are the next tier level red dirt country acts? Who are the artists that I could reach out to and do a collab with that would help grow my fan base in this same genre? Look at it from outside artists. You could look at it like, okay, what podcast / internet radio / whatever are people in my niche listening to? Is there a YouTube channel that's like a news channel for my specific niche and genre that does interviews with artists? Is there any kind of publication? Like if I'm looking at hard rock, I don't know very much red dirt, but if I'm looking at hard rock, there's publications like Loudwire, Metal Injection, Blabbermouth. There's all these different people that you could reach out to that are publications. Now there's people like Rockfeed, True Rock and Roll Stories. There's different channels that are based around that niche, that genre. So you could figure out what are the different channels, what are the different podcasts, what are the different artists I can collaborate with, what are the different review channels that I can look at that are reviewing music akin to mine. So if I threw mine in the mix, they'd be like, oh, another one of these. Oh, this is awesome. So those are 7 different marketing strategies that every single artist can implement in their music business, because these are time tested and true. You may be thinking, Dax, what do you mean time tested? Well, dude, I'm telling you, man, content marketing has existed forever. The content has always been there. It's just the medium that's changed. Back in the day, radio and television were the content marketing mediums. They are basically no longer. The biggest content marketing mediums now are social media platforms. Outbound marketing used to be direct mail. Instead of DMing people, you would either cold call people or you would direct mail them. It was a cold mailer too sometimes as well. And then let's think about email. Okay, email and direct mail are very similar as well, because it's like going from the physical version to the electronic version, but that's been around since the 80s. It's just been in a primitive version of it for quite some period of time in that beginning stages. But email marketing has been something that just in the last year generated $11 billion. So it's definitely at least working right now, and it's been working for the past 20, 30, 40 years. So I trust email marketing personally. Text SMS, this is again like cold calling, or, because we didn't always have texting. Back in the day, you'd have to call somebody. So this would be like calling somebody. And people have done that forever. There used to be things called telethons, where you'd get on the phone for a long period of time and listen to this thing that was happening. Now, paid media, again, that's existed with advertisers in Madison Avenue for, that was just one era of it in the 20s. It's existed forever, paid mediums of like, oh, here's where all the eyeballs are at. Can I pay you some money to get access to those eyeballs and ears? And they're like, yeah, exactly. Like, that's what paid marketing is, hey, you have all this traffic, you have all these eyes and all these people on this certain thing. Can I give you money just to get in front of that traffic so that I can get some of it to come to my website and come to check out what I've got going on? Now, event marketing, we've had events for a large chunk of human history. Concerts have been around for quite some time, with even back in the day of Mozart and Bach and all those kind of places. So event marketing is time tested and true. And then influencer marketing, again, figuring out who are the cultural points of influence, and then how can I associate with them to have influence over the general marketplace so that they're aware of me and I can get traffic and eyeballs on what I've got going on in my music and my mission, okay? So these 7 strategies, for instance, there was one that I was doing my research on, and I was like, no, I'm not going to mention that, which is guerrilla marketing. There are certain guerrilla marketing strategies that are somewhat okay, but like the whole like putting up flyers and doing handouts and things like that, I'm not a huge fan of. But if done correctly, which is the rare cases, which is why I don't typically advertise it, So like there's all different kinds of marketing that I didn't mention here, but to me, these are the 7 that are time tested and tried and true for artists and musicians and can help you start to actually grow your fan base to a point where you have genuine diehards. And if you want to learn how to work with me one-on-one so you can take those diehard fans and you can grow that so that you have a giant, fan base of diehard fans and you know how to monetize that, then click the link that's in the description. Otherwise, if this video gave you some value, click the subscribe button, click the like button, the notification bell, all that YouTube-y stuff. And I will see you guys on another video inside of Musicians Ignite.